think there comes a time where you have to kind of be honest to people.
Hey guys, welcome to Little Blackbird 91. We're talking to you guys obviously about Love is Blind UK season 2. Look, I mean, I want to be honest with you, crazy episode. It was really good. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good episode as well. And I felt like, you know, there was a lot to explore in terms of relationships that were happening between the particular couples. Now, you just got to see the end, which was between another couple. And I always forget their names because it's the first time being in it. But between Ashley and Billy. And unfortunately, it seemed like Billy was ready to quit this particular incident. So we're gonna break down all the couples because I think there's things that were happening. Ashley and Billy were starting off really good connection. It seemed like they had a really good emphasis with each other, and then it just kind of faded away. We had we also had within that space we had Sophie and Kieran. Sophie being somebody who says she's a self-professed, she can be a little bit of a cow or she can be a star, right? Depending on who meets her. She got some issues that she's guarded and stuff, right? And then we got Kieran, who seems to be somebody who is quite cool, collected. You know, he seems to be quite funny. He's you know, and he's very much interested in Sophie, but he's going to be having to break down walls in order to get there. But he's somebody who likes depth. He likes things to be deeper, and so, you know, it's going to be interesting to see their particular relationship as well develop. And then we got Kieran and Megan. They seem to be more together. I'm wondering if Kieran's going to make the choice of choosing Sophie, though. He might want the harder route. But Megan seems to be someone who's quite funny, you know, full of life, energetic. Their light is fluffy, it's flirtatious, and it seems to be really cool as well. So he's going to have a choice in his hands between Megan and Sophie, and we'll see how that goes. Then there's Patrick and Anu, and I want to be very clear. Patrick and Anu is interesting as well because I feel there's compatibility issues here, right? Because they're both of different faiths. Even though he says he's spiritual, she says she's Christian. Now, it depends on how Christian she is and how faith orientated she is. If she's much more Christian than he is, it may seem to be a problem down the line. But again, it just depends on where people's faith are, right? And then we got Srova and Carl, who were together. They're going to have cultural issues. Yes, these two, he comes from Pakistan, she comes from India. There's going to be a strain because he's coming from a Muslim background, was Muslim and a Christian background, and we didn't really hear her religious cultural background, but we definitely heard she's from India as well. So that's going to be an interesting perspective to navigate. She didn't look too confident about navigating it as well. So it's going to be interesting again once more to see how that turns out. Okay, let's get into this. I don't want to speak on this too long. I want to go through the couples really quickly. Hopefully, be able to give you some of great advice in terms of having relationships as well. So we're going to deal with our first couple. We're going to deal with Ashley and Billy and go from there. Let me just do this as well so we can actually talk about them. I hope you guys are enjoying watching you know, the show because it's been quite intriguing first episode, you know what I mean? So we're gonna chop into it. So okay, Ashley and Billy. Okay, Ashley and Billy, let's chop them up. Let's have a look at what was going on there.
And I did marry at the time for the rest of my life.
Yeah,
I never, divorce never crossed my mind.
right.
So when I do it again, that's going to be the last time.
I want.
Okay, so Ashley and Billy are quite interesting. Let me tell you why Ashley and Billy are quite interesting, okay? She's worked as a cabin crew for the last 11 years. She's been single for the past 4.5 years. He's been single for the last, I think, 4 years as well, right? But when he got married last year, even I should even say, right? He got married no, 5 years ago. He was married 5 years ago. I'm looking at my notes, sorry. Married 5 years ago, and he was somebody who was deeply involved in that marriage, and he thought it would be the last one ever. He didn't think he was going to go anywhere else apart from to the end. And so he was deeply affected by the divorce that happened with his wife. Now, what he did say was that him and his wife, the issue that they had was that she was in the army, he was in the army, and they would just miss each other when they came home. So eventually, the problem that they actually encountered was distance physically, and I'm guessing that ended up emotionally, and then that ended up in a divorce in that particular space because they weren't able to spend enough time with each other to feel loved, cared for, and appreciated. Okay, so he's an old-fashioned romantic. Divorce is not around on a second time round. He says he's going to make sure he's going to do it. And so for her, she also has a background in Army cadets, you know, and they seem to get on quite well. She loves her family to bits. He loves his family. They've got very strong family values and strong family ties as well, right? And they both got dogs as well. Okay, so them being in a space where single, they've come into a place where they've both, well, she came off the back of a relationship. He's been married. There's some of the differences, but they have some unique identification and backgrounds and foundations. The Army. Now, how does that play a role into their particular relationship? Well, let's just play a little bit more, and we'll talk a little bit more about the relationship.
Us to light each other's worlds up.
That sounds perfect. And I'm sitting here already smiling.
Nice as all.
Okay, so here's the biggest problem with Ashley and Billy, okay? They start off strong. They both have family values, and they're both vulnerable, right? Billy lets us know, not her, but lets us know at the beginning that he has a history of dating a cabin crew person before, and it didn't really work out because, again, it matched and mirrored what he experienced in his previous marriage, okay? So he's trying to stay away from that, okay? And so for him, he recognized that even though Ashley has the ability to be able to be anywhere in the world as a cabin crew individual, this may cause an issue for him in the long run because he's thinking about how would we mesh quality time, staying together, meeting each other on our schedules, being around each other. Now, the key thing that we didn't get to hear was actually, what does that look like? You know, when you're saying that you want time to be spent, what does that look like? How do you want that time to look like? And I'll talk about that in the solutions that they can start working through later on as I go through this. But this lets us know one thing, that if Billy's marriage broke down because he felt like there wasn't enough time, then maybe he felt emotionally neglected. And that's actually something that's a massive need for him. Quality time, being emotionally connected, wanting the person to be around, spending time with them. That's obviously a massive need. Therefore, he's qualifying this relationship with Ashley right now and saying, I don't know if I can get that met. What should be done, and I'll say this again a little bit later on, is to ask her, what does quality time and what does your schedule look like so we can actually see? Because then if her schedule is, I'm working 4 times a week, 5 times a week, I'm flying, I'm on and off, I'm away from the house all the time, he may not want that. The question is, how's your schedule? Because if you're on base and you're away as well, what are you actually really asking for? Because what you're really saying is, yes, you want quality time, but maybe you want her to be on base too. Maybe you want somebody who's more flexible, who can be on your time. And that needs to be coming out really, really clear, so it doesn't come across as, I can't date cabin crew people. No, cabin crew people aren't the issue. Your issue is their schedule and their timing does not align with your needs. So cabin crew isn't the issue, even though cabin crew do have similar schedules or may have some similar schedules. Your issue is a need issue. This is important when you are discussing this with your partner, because just in case you're looking at Billy going, okay, I don't have that same partner, you don't need to. You just need to be able to communicate that this is a massive need for you. Okay? All right? So let's have a look a bit more.
Yeah, you too. I look forward to our next date, hopefully, Ashley. Wow.
At the beginning, it was going so well. They were light, they were fluffy, they were joking, there was flirtation, you know, and it was good vibes, right? She spoke about how she wants to be looked after, you know, her job, her lifestyle, you know, as well as important. Now, why did she want to be looked after? Again, these are really important questions. And you know what? It really helped me understand. I'm a why person. I didn't realize how much of a why person I am. Once I know the why, I'm willing to step up to the mark. When she told us her backlog, she said, I grew up in a household. I was the oldest. I had to start paying rent at 16. I had to basically become a parent in my household, right, early on. And that made me have a weight on my shoulders to provide within my family. That's why I want someone to look after me. You know, as soon as she said that, my heart opened up and I said, if I was your man, I'll happily provide for you. I would go to the ends of the earth, because now I know why. I totally understand. And I think there's a lot of men who are in that space that a lot of times when they hear, I want a provider, they're actually not hearing the why. So it just sounds selfish, even though it's not selfish. And it just sounds like you're going to suck me for my money. you're just gonna take me for all I've got. And I think that happens to a lot of men, especially in 2025. Once they know why they want that, I think a lot more men need to know why you want that. Right now, of course, you may say, I don't want to waste my time with people who don't get it. Those who get it, get it. And I hear you. I'm not necessarily saying that, but I'm just saying there's a general consensus that I think if a lot more men understood why you wanted that and understood, okay, look, I've lived a hard life where I've looked after this. I just want someone to love me and take care of me, and I want to be looked after. Then you can really empathize. But I get it. Yeah, I hear you. You know. So when she said that, lifestyle is very important. I think it was a massive thing. Billy didn't look like he was against that. He seemed to be quite with that as well. So that wasn't a problem. And so that's a massive need for her. So she needs somebody who also has compassion and empathy to see that she needs help. She needs someone to take weight off her hands and her shoulders, that someone can take initiative to lead and also be in a space where they can provide and cater to her needs, not from a selfish place, but because she does so much for everybody else that she can be exhausted by overextending herself in different places. Now, she might need to work on her boundaries. She might need to work on, spending more quality time on herself and being more of a priority in her life. But what she needs from you is also needing a man who can fill in those gaps and really support her, encourage her, and take weight off her shoulders. Okay, so here are the main triggers of their relationship. Time apart is a massive trigger for him. Okay, for her, it's around needing somebody who's going to provide, who's going to encourage, who's going to support. If a man stops providing, I can see, when I say providing, I don't just mean finances. I mean somebody who's using their initiative in scenarios, somebody who's a forward planner, somebody who's thinking about you on the forefront of their mind because you're thinking about them. So, I thought you just might be tired today. You take a break. I've run your bath. You just go and relax tonight. That's you being forward thinking, right? And that's you being an emotional provider by actually really paying attention to the emotional state of your partner. And so in that space, what ends up happening is that's what she needs. If that doesn't get met in the relationship, more than likely you're going to see her become very hyper independent again. Okay, which is really important. And if he doesn't get the quality time, we're probably going to start seeing him become very avoidant. And you're going to probably start seeing him either overextending or him underextending and going, actually, you know what? I want to pull away because it's painful. Okay, all right. So Billy now looking to like, oh, I'm not really sure, can be rejection for Ashley, but also her independence may also become a read for him that she's also rejecting him leading or trying to be a leader within the relationship. Okay, it's important that both people do not go with unspoken needs. So here's a growth path. Here's something that they can begin to work on. Here's something that they can begin to be able to start to use in their relationship. Okay, all right, something that they can both kind of use in this relationship to go forward. Okay, here it is. Okay. All right. Number one, structuring quality time. If you know that your particular need is very big on you, it's a necessity for you to feel loved, cared for, and to feel close to your partner, to feel connected, that you need quality time, then quality time needs to be structured and scheduled, because we've got schedules and life is short and we haven't got enough hours in a day. So what will need to happen was that both of you need to come up with a schedule for how we're going to spend quality time. So we can know that, okay, look, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we're spending time together. It's going to be us two. We can go on a date. We can go here. We can do that. We can be at home. But we're spending some quality time together. That's what we're going to do. Okay. All right. And then when it comes to the need around him providing and leading, what needs to be spoken about and what needs to be orchestrated here is also some of the things that she needs help with. What does she want a man to do for her? Do you want a man to be driving? Do you want a man to be doing the garden? Do you want a man to be cooking? What looks like to you a man that's really supporting you, encouraging you, leading you, and is somebody that's supplying your needs in that particular area that you need, right? Being very clear with it it may sound like, oh, it's, you know, it must be a turn off, or if I have to explain everything, then it's not romantic, it's not beautiful. What am I actually doing if I'm just saying everything? Why can't he use his brain? Those are null and void questions here. What we're trying to do is make it very easy for our partner to love us. So we have to explain, okay, what this means. Okay, I need someone who can, you know, when I'm tired, will take over and cook. When I'm tired, we'll take over, wash the dishes. When I'm at work, we'll seek to do the groceries. That's what it looks like, right? And make it plain so the other person knows exactly what you're talking about. Okay. And the last part is, as well, is also really being able to, both of them, just be able to go back into their past relationships to analyze why it went wrong and then make those fixes as they should. If you know why your relationship didn't work out, whether it was you choosing badly and poorly, whether it was you not showing up correctly, whether you were too angry, whether you were too sad, whether you were too, you know, in your own business, whatever it was, you need to go back through that and recognize, what can I fix now going into my next relationship? What do I need to fix this particular relationship? That's important. Okay, so that's their relationship. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, let's move on to Sophie and Kieran, because they were another good couple as well. Sophie and Kieran, and it was interesting, Sophie and Kieran, because man, she was a funny character, Sophie, as well. So let's talk about them.
Who lives with their mom be like, all right, Sandra, can I just go to your son's bedroom? That's not a bit of me. Why is this so hard? I'm very aware that I'm single because of myself. I'm a very guarded.
Okay, so Sophie and Kieran, interesting situation of Sophie and Kieran. She is very much aware. Okay, Sophie and Kieran, she is very much aware that she is a problem in relationships. She's guarded. She has high walls. She can be very blunt, and her small talk game is awful. Her small talk game is a bag of trash. Can I be honest with you? Her small talk is a bag of trash. Okay, she's too direct and too cold with the way she asks questions. That's why people run away from you. She asked a question like, cats or dogs? Cats or dogs? Yeah, the speed, the tempo, the pace, the tone is telling us you don't really care about this answer. You know what I'm saying? You don't really care about the person giving the answer. Sorry, I should say. You care about an answer, but you don't care about the answer, not the person giving it. So it's like cats or dogs, blue or white, chocolate or sweets. You're not, and it's not very expansive. And so when questions are closed, this doesn't allow for a very open discussion. Okay, pun intended. Okay, cool. So let's break these two down because I think it's very important, Sophie and Kieran, and it will break some more stuff down.
Person, because I'm petrified of giving myself to somebody and not being enough.
Let's go, boys. Let's go, boys.
I'm a hopeless romantic, so my story's already written, and I hope it's in Love is Blind.
Okay, so Sophie was very much giving me somebody who's a fearful or dismissive avoidant. She is very afraid of rejection. Okay, all right, she's very afraid of rejection to the highest hill. Okay, and for her personally, what was some of the biggest things? She said that she treats first dates as an interview. She's heard that from men before. She wants somebody that can make her laugh. She needs somebody that got their own home. She's guarded as a person, but she's scared that she won't be enough, and she's a hopeless romantic at that. And right now, she's in a very high-ended job. She's a global manager, which takes a lot of grit, a lot of strength. And obviously, you have to be, I'm sure you've been around a lot of men. That will change the way that you may operate as well when it comes to relationship, because you're consistently in a space of not necessarily being safe, but also as well being, that energy, that testosterone, that energy being thrown around you quite a bit as well. That can do something to you. She's one of 5 children, but she's the only sister. And that explains a lot itself, okay? And she's never been in love. And, she only in a job because it pays well, she said jokingly. And she was dating someone for 5 years, and it felt like best friends. So I said, oh, okay, cool. She wants to be chosen for her soul, not for how she looks. And she doesn't allow people in very easily, and recognizes you have to be vulnerable, but she's not doing that necessarily. She doesn't like rejection and doesn't deal with it very well. And if she doesn't, and doesn't allow herself to be in a situation where she can get rejected, which means she's doing self-defense mechanism. So she's saying to herself, I won't allow you to see me be rejected. I'm not going to allow that. My self-defense mechanism will stop me from experiencing that, which means self-sabotaging, probably doing way too much, escalating, probably becoming toxic slightly as well, just to kind of make sure that you're not getting rejected. Yeah, it's a very crazy place it can be with that particular aspect as well. She's happy if it doesn't work out with somebody because she doesn't show all herself to that person, and so therefore they can't reject all of her. We'll talk about this in a second. And she says the only person that's ever really seen all of her is her dad. Okay, she's scared of showing all of herself as well in a relationship. Whereas Kieran, okay, and we'll play a little bit more clips so you can actually see what Kieran looked like, just in case.
God, that sounded so professional, didn't it? I was like, whoa.
Hello,
Hi,
what's your name?
my name's Sophie.
Sophie, it is wonderful to meet you.
What's your...
All right, so we've got Kieran. All right, we've got Kieran. And Kieran is somebody who is a self-professed nerd, he said. He is somebody who had a 7-year deep relationship, but he wasn't necessarily emotionally connected. Pay attention to that, it's really important. Doesn't think being deep, wants to be deeply emotionally connected, but wasn't so in that 7-year relationship per se. He feels there's no depth on these apps as well. And he loves dancing. He's an entrepreneur gamer. And she's single. He's been single for the last year or so. Okay. Now let's just keep this a buck. I'm going to make this very clear. Okay. Let's not miss this. Although Sophie, I believe, is clearly a fearful avoidant, because the moment you tell me you're a hopeless romantic, and then you tell me also that you are afraid of being seen, and you don't want anyone to see you for who you really are, you don't have you're not accepting of yourself, and therefore can't accept that people would actually the way that you can't be accepting of yourself, and so therefore you can't feel that people would accept you for you, is an emotional safety issue. But that's typically what you find with people who are oftentimes attachment styles are fearful avoidant. Now, why is that important? Because I don't think that Kieran is secure. Nah, he stayed in a relationship for 7 years, and he said that there was an emotional connection, kind of almost like it was missing. These two are two peas in a pod. You won't see it now, but you're gonna see it soon. They're two peas in a pod. Why do I say that? Not that they're going to be a great couple, but the fact of the matter is they're, I don't want to say two opposite ends of the spectrum, but they're very close. I think he's more dismissive than it looks like. Okay? Because if you tell me you can stay in a relationship for 7 years and it weren't really connected, you might be more dismissive than you're really letting on. Or, you could have been more anxious and you were clinging onto that relationship and holding it up when it should have been let go. 7 years is a very long time to not feel like you had a deep emotional connection. Which means for 7 years, either you were over connecting and you were overestimating the relationship, or for 7 years, you weren't really connected and it didn't bother you because you yourself, okay, are not as emotionally connected to your emotions. Now, that's really important because many people get into relationships and have been in them a long time and they've never really felt emotionally connected because they think that this is normal because what they grew up in is very similar to that pattern. If your parents didn't meet your emotional needs, getting into a relationship for 7 years and not having your emotional depth and connection that you actually need is not going to be abnormal, right? So again, patterns, okay? So for him, 7-year relationship, for her, a 5-year relationship, and it mirrors each other because she said that man was more like a best friend. For 5 years? Well, I'm guessing it wasn't all 5 years, but for those 5 years, she felt like by the end, we were more like best friends. So the emotional connection, which actually predates usually the romantic aspect, died out first. And so the romance went too. And that means that maybe she's a little bit disconnected with herself and disconnected with her emotions. And therefore actually has an inability to be able to share vulnerably how she feels. Now, Kieran likes deep conversations. So actually, he should be able to touch somewhere very deep with Sophie because her being a fearful avoidant, that's something that she can really get behind. Fearful avoidants love deep intellectual conversations. The problem is that they don't like being seen. If they're being seen, they now feel like they have to sabotage, or they feel like for themselves, it's a scary place to be that vulnerable with somebody I don't really know because they can reject me, betray me, or abandon me. And as you heard her herself, she will not allow herself to be in a situation where she can get rejected. Okay, really, really important in terms of the dynamics that's going to play out. Okay, so we know that Kieran is looking for a deeper connection. Let's just do this quickly.
Your name?
My name's Kieran.
What do you do, Kieran?
I am an entrepreneur in the gaming world, so I'm actually a massive nerd under the surface. What do you do?
I am a commercial manager for a global renewables company.
Now, here's my thing. Sophie will chew this man alive. It feels like. I know she got a soft center, so really it's going to be an equation, right? It's going to be an equation. Either she will end up chewing this man alive, or his patience to deal with her nonsense will outlast her nonsense, and he'll get to the soft center of Sophie. Okay, either he is going to be chewed up by her, or like we saw with Madison last season, or we're going to see him bypass that because of his patience and get to the core of her. The question is, when he gets to the core of Sophie, is he tired? Is he too broken? Is he too hurt to really love her himself because he hasn't looked after himself, trying to play a role of trying to break down her walls? That's a question for another time. Okay. All right. And we'll see that maybe in episode 2. But yes, so Kieran wants a deeper connection emotionally and wants to be able to communicate with his partner on that plane. And she feels most safest when she's able to control dynamics in a sense of not letting her guard down and not allowing people in. She says she doesn't let people in easily, which means you're going to be working for it. Okay? You're going to be working for it. All right? She's never been in love, and he doesn't think he's been in love. Oh boy. 7 years and 5 years. Imagine your partner. Imagine you see your ex on the screen telling you, I never was in love. 5 years and 7 years? Respectfully. These people didn't think they were in love? Damn. That's a heavy burdens. Okay. So here's the main conflict issues that they're going to have. And let me play a little bit more of the clip of these two.
Wow. Sustainability and all that.
I love to say that's why I do it, but it actually pays really well.
So what about family?
I'm one of 5.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So her being one of 5 must be very difficult because, again, you'll be fighting for attention. You'll be fighting for air sometimes, right? You're fighting to be seen. You're fighting to be heard. You're fighting to be viewed. You're fighting just to have a bit of attention amongst those other 4 siblings. You know what I'm saying to you? So, and they're all boys too. That can be very difficult. Okay. So here's some major conflicts that can happen between the 2 of them. Kieran wants more vulnerability. Okay. Can Sophie give it? Kieran is somebody who wants a deep, embedded connection with somebody. He wants to feel it. Can Sophie give that to him in the time that he requires? Right? Because Sophie's afraid of being open and vulnerable. Can she give him more vulnerability and expose more of herself? Or will, yes, in that space, because that's what he's requiring. So what he needs to be able to do, again, is articulate what he wants from her vulnerability wise. So do you want to have more deeper conversations? Do you want to have conversations about family? Do you want to have more intimacy in terms of time and really getting to know you on a deeper level? Like, you know, what makes you tick? What makes you? What are your passions, your hobbies, your this, your that? Really getting to know the person, right? He may need that, and he may need to set a plan for how he's going to go about that in terms of actually being able to really ask key questions about her to get to know her on a deeper level. Okay. All right. So yes, and I've given the solution. I apologize. I was meant to just talk about the mistakes. Okay. The interpretation, right? Sophie, says that, she's somebody who can be a cow or can be someone who's a star. And I think that's a problem in itself. I think what she's really admitting to is that she feels that she's a bad person and that her behaviors are actually her. And so when she's almost kind of pre-warning you, I can be a cow or I can be a star. She's warning you, but she's prepping you because she's going to be a cow soon. Yeah, she's prepping you because she's going to be a cow very, very soon. She's going to be a little bit naughty, probably a little bit rude. She wants to test you, wants to see if you can handle it, see if you're ready for it, see if you can control it, see if you can receive the madness that she might bring to the table in order for her to feel safe. Okay, and that's important too. So she's looking at him from that perspective. And the final trigger is that Sophie is somebody who seems like, even though she might not run, she runs. She's somebody who will see the emotional intimacy start building and want to quit and be like, no, I can't do this. It's too much for me. It's overwhelming. She gives me that kind of vibe in terms of what she is. although she presents as very hard-faced individual, strong with it, what we're really seeing is somebody who's just guarded and not really actually opening themselves up, and who's refusing to actually allow themselves to be seen for who they actually are, for fear of judgment. Okay, so self-sabotage is something that might kick in for her a little bit later on down the line. Now, what can they do to work on this? I think it's about small disclosures of vulnerability, small disclosures of your life, starting off small, and not necessarily rushing it, and being able to articulate some of your vulnerability, not all of it, but saying, hey, you know, working with small bits, like saying, hey, you know what, today I'm not feeling up to it right now, or today I'm not feeling my most energetic. Can you bear with me? You know, those are minuscule, but they're big to say to somebody, right? To be able to say, you know, I enjoy our time. I've obviously been thinking the last few days about something that's happened in my family, and it reminded me of this. And, you know, I want to just talk about some of those things, right? So it allows for those things to happen. The next thing is that there should be clear, demarked boundaries. Okay. So while she may have her own pace that she wants to go at, within that expression, Kieran can also let her know about firm boundaries, that, you know, he respects her pace, but he's still going to say his needs. He's still going to say what he wants, what he needs from that situation. Okay. So what we don't want to do is that, and a lot of FAs struggle with the power aspect. So let's say, for instance, an FA will get into a relationship and they will, just like any avoidant, dismissive, do this too, love bomb. And they're not love bombing to necessarily manipulate you, but they're love bombing because they're putting their best foot forward. And they'll just do the most amazing things at the very beginning because they don't want to be rejected. But as soon as they're accepted, that's when the real work starts, because now you've accepted them. They know the real work starts because now the mask is going to come off and they're going to be seen for who they really are. Now with Sophie, she's like, I want to let you know I ain't that great from the beginning, so that when I'm not actually great in the relationship, don't complain. You know, she's setting you up. But in reality, what she needs to be doing is that she needs to know that she has control over the pace of them getting to know each other. As an FA, if you're listening to this, you have control of the pace of someone getting to know you. You don't need to rush. They don't need to rush. You don't need to tell your whole life story in one day. We can do little tidbits, little here, a little there, and slowly build up that practice. And this will build up our confidence, but this will also make you feel like you're in control of this relationship. And when I say in control, I'm not talking about a manipulation control. I'm talking about you feeling in control of yourself and actually trusting that you can handle the pace of how you're going. If it's going too fast, you can say, hey, you know, I really like you. I'm enjoying to get to know you. This is going a little bit too fast for me. Can we just slow it down a little bit? Can we, you know, slow it down a little bit? Maybe just talk once every day or once every 2 days, whatever. This is what works for me. Does that work for you? And then invite the negotiation, because he might say that does work for me, or maybe that doesn't work for me. And we have further discussions to then nail what would make sense for both parties. But if you're an FA, I want you to understand you do have control and you do have power over your autonomy, and you being able to choose when you want to do something in this relationship. Sometimes FAs be thinking that, you know, they haven't got no control. So whatever happens, happens. And that's what scares them. Okay. They feel like they haven't got control. All right. And then third one is for solution is, that to keep things to be deep, but also learning the art of small talk as well. Something that I've had to learn, and I'm still learning it. It is to allow yourself to fluctuate between the deep and the shallow. The deep and the shallow. There are days where we're not going to have deep conversations. There are days where we're going to just laugh and joke and have fun. And then we're going to have other days where we go deep and we need to speak about some deep things. And that's okay, right? We're not trying to make it always deep, and we're not always trying to make it shallow. We want to find a balance. And again, you are in control of this, okay? So if you feel like things are getting a little bit heavy, you can say to your partner, hey, you know what? The last few days have been a little bit heavy. Can we keep our conversations for the next few days just a little bit light? You know, I just want to be able to just breathe a little bit, and then we can come back to this in a couple of days' time, or maybe next week. Cool. You're letting me know because you are in control of who? You. You're in control of who? You. And that's what you need to understand, and that's what you need to know. Okay, cool. Let's talk about Kieran and Megan real quick, because this is also another situation for them. And I think it was good. Kieran and Megan. Let your walls down. Let your walls down. Let your walls down. Okay, let's get this. Okay. Yes, there we go. Sorry.
What's your like long-term family goals, Megan? Do you want to build a family? Like,
Yeah, definitely. One day I would love to have kids.
yeah.
I think I would love to just have one, and I'd also love to adopt.
Oh wow.
That's very powerful. We love that. Okay, so Kieran and Megan, again, another interesting couple as well, with Kieran and Megan, because I honestly think that maybe Megan right now seems like a better bet for him. I think for Kieran, Megan seems like the right kind of one. She really liked his nerdiness. As soon as he said he was a nerd, she was excited. And I said, okay, this woman really, really likes you. Some of the background of her, she is a professional dancer. She worked on cruise ships. She's had short-term boyfriends, and she's been single for a year, her particular self. Okay, all right. But she seems to like his nerdiness. You know, they both were open to her idea, or should I say, he was open to her idea around adoption. Okay, all right. There's an instant spark. He said physical intimacy is a big thing for him. But he could feel that, but well, physical intimacy is a big thing for him. And I said to myself, how does he feel that through the screen or through the wall? Like, you can't actually test that. But hey, but he has a strong connection with Sophie and a strong affection for her. And I said, okay, cool. So what's the biggest thing with Megan and Kieran? We'll play a little bit more of the clip and we'll explain a bit more.
It's just always something I'd love to do.
I'm open to the adoption thing. I've not really put much thought into it, to be fair.
I rate that. Well, it's nice to know that you're open to it, you know?
Kieran is
Okay, so let's talk about a little bit about them. Okay, they had an immediate spark. They were high flirtation. You know, they were really enjoying each other as well. Okay, all right. Now it's interesting because he definitely said about the physical intimacy, and I said, I wonder if he's an avoidant, which I think he might be a bit more of an avoidant, and he's hiding behind a very good representative. Avoidants have avoidants have a kind of how do I say this? A liking for being physical before they really get emotionally deep. So they can use sex as a way of communicating and initiating closeness, but it's on its own. It's an imitation. Physical intimacy requires for a deeper relationship to be emotional connection too. Without the emotional connection or the emotional kind of unity between yourself and a partner, sex becomes this transactional tool, which is all about your pleasure rather than actually being a place of connecting two people and bringing them closer together. So when people start being physical, and of course they haven't touched each other, they've just been talking for a wall. When he makes a statement about physical intimacy being very important, I ask myself the question, is that because you are not actually in tune with your actual emotions? As in you're not in as tune with your emotional self to really understand what you require from a woman emotionally, right? So when he said that, I was like, okay, cool. Maybe that's the reason why. Okay, we're going to get into this.
Super lovely. I think he's got like that little something about him. See you.
See you later.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Yes. So some of the main issues that's going to happen between them is, with Megan working on a cruise ship, how much time does she have to actually be physically present? Okay. How much time? Because we know that Kieran wasn't necessarily as emotionally invested, or should say he wasn't as emotionally connected by the end of his relationship, as he lets us know, right? How much will Megan being on a cruise ship affect that? I think she's still doing. No, she's a professional dancer rather than cruise ship worker right now, so it might not play necessarily much of a role in that aspect, but it's something to think about. Okay, they definitely got a lot of chemistry. They definitely got a high intensity and energy, but with her job and career, will that play a role? Because he needs someone to actually love on him, care about him, and be present. Okay, and so that might be an issue too, lifestyle wise. Then there's over reliance on chemistry. Okay. You know, where we are so focused on the chemistry and the vibe that we forget to have real conversations about our future, what we see for it, where we're going, what is needed to get us there. We don't realize those things because we're so consumed with the chemistry. And you hear people say, we just got a natural vibe. But then when you actually get deeper and you realize about your values and your things that you cherish and your ambitions and your goals and how you see your life, you recognize that they don't have the same viewpoint as you. But because you focus on a physical intimacy, you might miss that. It'll be harder to spot. Okay. All right. And then number 3 on what could trigger them is that the pace may move too quickly for both of them. Right? She may feel like the pace going too quick, or he may feel like that too. And that may cause, I believe, his avoidant perspective to kind of come out, where he flickers between hot and cold. Okay? Being positive and then being negative, you know, being on you, then wanting to be off you. Right? And that sudden aversion to physical intimacy. That can also play a role. But here are some of the growth parts that can happen for these two as well. Let's listen a bit more.
Oh, God, I'm sweating. He had a little spark. That instant click was there. So yeah, I'm excited about Kieran.
Now, listen, Kieran's a very good-looking boy. He gonna have no problems getting the girls. He probably gonna cause some issues in that particular space. So it's gonna be interesting to watch and see. But here are some growth things they can look at, because the 3 main triggers are lifestyle, over-reliance on chemistry, and the pace. Here's some things that potentially could be working for them solution-wise. Slow the physical pace down. Like the physical jokes, the innuendos, the sexual jokes, they're good, but they don't aid us in getting to know the person. Do we know this person well enough? Right? Let's not set ourselves up for a fail by having the sexual conversations early and never really actually understanding each other emotionally and understanding where people stay, because that sexual conversation will get you confused. Okay. Number 2, routine emotional check-ins. Okay. All right. So being able to maybe talk once a month to talk about all your problems. Right? During the case of that month, we're going to keep it light. We're going to keep it fun. We're going to keep it fresh between us. And then at the end of the month, we know we have that conversational time between me and you. You get to dump whatever you want to dump. Say what you want to say. Cuss me out if you want to cuss me out. Say what's on your mind, what's hurting you. You can say it in that time. Okay. So routine emotional check-ins where we get to discuss some of the harder things of a relationship, you know, about around building habits, around feelings and being able to address them as well, right? So routine emotional check-ins. Number 3 is a shared vision talk, okay? Discussing lifelong lifestyle plans early so that you can actually get it out of the way and make sure you're not going to marry the wrong person, okay? We have to make sure we're seeing each other compatibility-wise in order to grow and to move forward as well, okay? Cool. So number 4, relationship. This is going to be Anu and Patrick. This is an important one. Oh boy, I haven't got a hold on. Make sure I got the right screen for this one. Let's see if I've got a clip for this one. Let's see. Okay, cool. There we go.
So are you, honestly. I really love your voice as well. You know, it's very... No, seriously, it's like it gives me such a safe space. I feel so comfortable.
Oh, I'd give you a hug if you was near me.
Okay, so this couple here, Patrick and our brother, sister, sorry, Anu. Patrick plus Anu. Okay, this is gonna be interesting now. Compatibility issues. Okay, this is interesting. I can't spell. Compatibility issues. Okay. So Patrick and Anu, they're interesting as well because, like I said, they share a similar background. He's Jamaican Nigerian. She's Nigerian. They share, an affection for spirituality, although she's Christian and he is someone who's spiritual. There's a lot of warmth there. It seems to be an openness and a receptiveness to questions, but also answers. Okay, the conversation flowed with them. And the energy was right to them. And I liked it. I said, okay, cool. This is, I said, it's cool. I said, Ayun, and my bad. I put Anu. Apologies. Ayun. I apologize. Thank you. I put the wrong name. But yeah, no. And I think this was great, again, to see this because what they had, I was like, okay, so Anu to me feels like somebody who's very anxious a little bit. She this a little thing. It's something crazy. Just a little something, you know.
I just hugged you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Patrick is sweet. Patrick is deep.
Wow.
Oh, he was nice.
Okay, so the compatibility issues that I'm seeing here is that she said she's a Christian. He said he's spiritual. Well, two different worlds. She said she's Christian. He said he's spiritual. Now, the only way this works, in my head, in most cases, is that you're actually saying that although you're Christian, you hold to Christian tenets, but you're not necessarily a Christian. You don't allow the Holy Spirit to lead you. That's different. You know, some people are Christians by church. Some people are Christian by the holidays. And so I understand that not in a situation, people say Christian and say it in all walks of life. What is key, though, is that she spoke about how she's going to be praying. And as she's praying, she said that, you know, for her and her family are going to be praying. I said, okay, well, if her and her family are going to be praying, I said, this sounds like a really Christian family, or at least a religious family. How is that going to play with somebody who's actually just spiritual? They're not necessarily celebrating your God. They're not worshiping your God. They're not adding any tribute to your God. They're not compromising, or nor are they, you know, kind of in alignment with your God. You know what I'm saying, Chu? So let's play a little bit more.
You come in here with a set of qualities that you're looking for in a man, and then in these short snippet of dates, you feel like, oh, this guy has these qualities. However,
Okay, so what I will say is Patrick just seems like a lovely guy. Can't lie to you. He seems very warm, very full of life. You know, he's funny. He talks well. You know, and they both were very, very, very complimentary together in terms of their energy and their vibes. You know, they got to talking about their backgrounds in terms of them being Nigerian. And the one or two things I've noticed about her is that when he was explaining, she said, paint me a picture about what you have experienced. And I said, a great question. Yes, let him paint a picture of what he experienced in his childhood. And as he was explaining, she jumped in and we didn't get to hear his answer, really. And I was like, oh, baby, listen, slow it down. Shut it down. No, joke, but slow it down. I was like, let him get it off. Okay? Let him get it off.
She gives me such fiery energy. There's definitely an emotional connection there for sure. That's why we're here, sure.
And here's my thing. You know, it's gonna be hard for her to break away from this man. This man is 6 foot whatever plus. He looks good. He's well dressed. He's well, he's got good physique. He talks well. He seems emotionally intelligent. Yeah, she gonna have problems. Outside of this particular show, yeah, you gonna come around and find out. You gonna come around and find out. I'm telling you, B. Like, don't play with this one. Not that he's gonna play you, but the fact of the matter is, you gonna around and find out because you're gonna catch feelings. So I need Anu to leave this one alone because he doesn't talk. He's not reporting from a place of being Christian. He's saying he's a human, you know, human coach, human design coach, which is very different to being about someone who's a Christian. Okay, that makes them incompatible. The Bible says that we should not unequally yoke ourselves because, again, it causes friction and issues in circumstance as well. Let's look at this. Oh, sorry.
Anu, wow, she's very abundant. She is actually super open-minded and she's super spiritual.
Oh, that was really nice.
Anu,
Nah, she ain't spiritual. She told you what she was. She Christian. Okay? She told what she was. She Christian. So that's, again, if Anu's not going to put that across and make it very clear, that's going to be her issue that she's going to have a problem with. She's going to cause herself more issues. So let's talk about this quickly. What are some of the triggers that may happen? I think faith and where they are in a spiritual, he said he's open to her faith, right? How open? Are you open to going to church every week? Are you open to praying with me? Are you open to studying the word with me? Like, how open are you? Okay. She's from a very traditional cultural religion, Christianity. Okay. And he's coming from spiritual, which I'm not going to determine the time or whatever, but obviously in respects to that, you know, for me personally, okay, she didn't have that rigidity, or shall I say those rules per se. And so therefore, he doesn't have those rules per se. And therefore there can be a clash. As a Christian, the warfare they're going to go through is unnecessary. We've got enough battles to face. Okay, so their lifestyle, balancing work, family, and shared spiritual goals may need to be looked at and negotiated as well. They need to hash out what this actually means for them. You say you're a person who's spiritual. What does that mean? What does that look like? Because as for me, as a Christian, as you should be, she should be yielding to the fact that, you know, do not be unequally unyoked. Okay, so here's some solutions that they can begin to work with. They can begin to share their faith in a deeper way to understand where they actually stand. Okay. All right. Yeah, I thought that too. I can't lie to you. I was thinking desperation. And desperation has a sound because you go to places that you are dry and desert. Desperation has a sound because you go to places that are dry and are desert. And then when you go in there, you're going to complain saying there's no water there. Yes, there wasn't, because you were never supposed to be there. That's the truth too. So here's some things they have to work on. They need to work on laying out what their faith looks like and what it means and what are their belief systems. Okay. It looks like premarital conversations, because they need to also understand what the role of leadership looks like, discuss their roles, their future children, how their household's going to run. Because again, she may be coming from a Nigerian background. He comes from Jamaican, Nigerian, very similar. But again, the Christian perspective on this also too may play a role in this, right? She may actually want somebody who's more spiritual than her, but him being more spiritual, does that mean he's more Christian? Does that mean that he's got a better relationship with the Father? Does that mean that he's got a stronger faith with the Father? Or does that mean he's strong with the universe or whatever he believes in? No offense to that, right? And so I think in this instance, yeah, it's going to be a lot. You know what I mean? It's going to be a lot. Okay, last one is another couple. Okay. Let's get this one here. It's Carl and Srova. Let's see if I can get it up. Srova. I want to give you guys a clip. Okay. Let's see what will happen. Okay.
Do you think your future wife would bring?
If I'm at work, you're doing everything else, making sure dinner's ready. I don't get home till like 9:30.
Okay, I chose the wrong person. That's not even Kieran, that's Billy. Apologies. I'll come to Billy in a minute. But Srova and Carl had their particular relationship as well, right? Srova had Carl in there, and it was interesting because, again, I feel like with Carl and her, the similarities are that their parents broke up obviously quite early. Quite late. So when they were in their teens or going on towards adulthood, that's when their parents actually split up, which can be very painful. Okay.
I'm not daft, am I? Absolute pleasure, darling. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Good night. Good night. Goodbye.
All righty. So again, let me just read my notes, because again, I want to get to this as well and make sure I'm in alignment with it. Sorry, let me get some my notes. Here we go. Cool. So Srova and Carl. Okay, let me get some background so you understand what's going on. So Srova, okay, only dated Indian boys previously. She's said to be sounding quite posh. She goes to bed at 9:30. She's a co-owner of a medical company. She's into gym. She, wants to still be present for her kids. She has Indian background, as I said, and that will be her. Then Carl, okay, all right. Then Carl was like a co-owner of a gym. Dated a girl in Dubai. He dated a girl in Dubai. When he was there, it fell apart. He wants his next one to be a wife. He's been single for a few months. I don't know if he's recovered from that last relationship. Of course, something ain't right, so he has to cut it off. His brother is two older brothers and sisters. I think are pretty much married, so he's got a bit of pressure on him. He's very close to mummy, and when I heard he's close to a mummy, he's a mummy's boy, I said no. You don't love me, and I know that. I said, oh Lord. Okay, so yeah. So I said, okay, cool. So he's a mommy's boy, because obviously, yes, dad is in Dubai, and they split up when he was in his teenage years. He's been in a few short-term relationships and doesn't know if he's been in love. you know, he almost lost 2 of his brothers when he was younger as well. Okay. You know, he said the parents divorced around about 18, same time as her. And yes, dad's been in Dubai since then. He's been texting every few months. And dad is Muslim. And so dad is Pakistani and Muslim. And mum is, I'm guessing, the Christian side. Now, what's interesting about this is there's a multi-pot of things happening. First and foremost, India versus Pakistan is an issue. I don't even know the issue, but they mentioned it on the show. There's an issue. So there's some type of issue culturally that's going to happen. Okay. Now I know that sometimes it can be a caste system, but that might not be what we're talking about here. There's probably some there's some deep rooted history between the two places. And so that was a major concern on him when he asked her, are your parents going to accept someone like me? And I think that's a really good question to ask, because she really needs to consider, can they accept someone like her, someone like him? Is her parents' opinion very weighty for them that they would not consider allowing this marriage to happen? If there is, we've got to have a look at it. Okay, since there is, it's got to be an issue. So we've got to look at it. You know.
Have a good night soon. How was it? That's a 10. That one. 10.
Got to make sure. Hold on.
Doesn't make me rush or anything, but just seeing how happy it makes them, like I want that for myself.
Okay. Okay. So they share fitness values. They're emotionally open. They were sharing deep things about their family and how, you know, their religion, culture, how their parents divorced, and there were some similarities there. Okay, all right. And so we knew obviously about the family ties. If there was going to be anything family ties wise, it'll be a bit of a problem, right? We all know that. So here are some of the conflict triggers that can happen. There's cultural tension here. Families around the marriage, religion, as well. And the question is, will your parents, either of them, be open to this thing? And if they're not open to it, what are they going to do? Are they going to, do they believe that they love each other enough to be able to go forward? Okay. Is there enough to go forward? Is there enough for you to overcome potentially the tirade of dislike, hate, disinterest from family when they find out that you're from 2 different cultures, especially ones that have opposing cultures that have history which has not been the brightest? Okay, all right, so that's a big thing. Then the lifestyle assumptions. I know when she said she wanted to be a stay-at-home mum and potentially still work, I said, oh, but when he regurgitated it, he spoke about them being a couple, a power couple, and I said, is that what she's really saying? He saw it as power couple in terms of her going to childbearing and still being a great, amazing worker, which is not a problem, by the way. But he mentioned couple goals. I didn't really hear what she said. And I was like, okay, cool. I didn't really hear what she said. I said, did she really agree to that? She kind of did, but not agree to it. So I said, okay, she may have an idea of what she sees herself in a marriage. She needs to be honest. Because if you don't see yourself as, when I say couple goals, what I mean by that is by you working hard and you being a mom. If you're not a hybrid like that, or you want the choice, maybe that's a conversation. Okay. You know, so this is going to be interesting as well. Okay. Yeah, she did say she wants to be a SAHM. And he said power couple. And I said, oh, I think they're talking 2 different languages. Okay, all right. Now they spoke about something important. She spoke about the stress that she can feel. She sounds very anxious. She can get anxious to a place and she needs calming down. And Carl was like, I can calm you down. I can lead you in that place when you're overreacting or over whatever as well. Thank you. Yeah, sorry. I can lead you there. And in that space, okay, I will calm you down. And that's a very powerful skill, because I think, again, when you're looking at a partner, you are looking for somebody who's going to compliment you, right? You're looking for someone to compliment you, okay, and be able to fill in where maybe you're weakest. So the fact that she may be panicking or feel nervous or anxious, and that comes across, it might be powerful that he's able to calm her down and be a center, a rock for her, emotionally regulated.
That's literally the boat I'm in.
Yeah. What kind of wife do you envision you would be? Like, have you thought about that?
I have thought about that. So obviously I work hard. I've studied hard.
When you start with obviously I work hard, I already knew, brother. She's about to when she said obviously I work hard, but she's about to tell you, listen, I want to be at home. Player, don't think anything. I want to be at home. Okay, all right. I want to be at home. Okay, so it's interesting in that space when she said that. I said, oh no, she gone.
Etc. I'd want to do it where I can still be present for my children.
Yeah, I'm quite old school and want to be the protector and provider, but I also see the appeal of having someone like you who almost should be like a force to be reckoned.
Oh no, she didn't say a force to reckon. She didn't say a force to reckon with, my brother. Okay, all right. She didn't say a force to reckon. She said, I don't want to miss the kid's life. Basically, I'm gonna be at home. I make it clear for you. Okay, I'm going to be at home. I think solution wise for this couple, what they need to start doing is focusing on addressing religion, traditions, and family involvement early. So they need to be able to quickly be able to do this, where they can address religion, address the traditions, and obviously and how they're going to deal with family. Do you have good enough boundaries that if you chose someone who's a different culture, different faith, that you could hold the family off? Are you willing to let go of some of your family if you believe in this love? If you're not, leave each other alone, because it's going to be a problem. Leave each other alone. Okay. So that's a big thing as well. So that's a massive thing. It's a big thing to get to, right? Making sure you guys are on the same page, you guys are in alignment together, you're ready to face the world, because the world's going to come against you. Okay, the world will come against you. Number 2, role clarity. Defining parenting workload expectations before marriage. Because you mentioned about staying at home, baby girl said, I'm happy to stay at home, but what does that look like? Because you're going to tell me to stay at home, I'm going to tell you I'm going to go to work. I don't want to hear complaints about I'm not helping out enough. Let's set that expectation early. What is it you want me to also contribute? Because we don't want a situation where you're SAHM and you're recognizing that actually you're struggling emotionally or physically. Right? So it's something, again, to discuss and to work through. Something to look at. It's something to pay attention to define parenting, the workload expectations before marriage as well. Okay. And number 3 is to validate emotional aspects. Okay. Like Carl's calmness and for Srova to be a little bit agitated. What do we need to feel validated? Him being calm is good. Oh, my camera went off. Sorry, guys. What do they need to be validated in that particular space? That's a very important thing. Sorry, my camera went off there. My timer's almost up anyway. But yeah, what does need to be validated in that space? You know, oh, it's Carl, and I put Carl. I thought it was Carl, and I kept on putting Carl. But anyway, so yeah, so that's another thing. That's the 3 solutions for them. They need to be preemptive with the cultural talks, their role clarity, and then make sure that they also know how to validate each other emotionally. Because again, she mentioned about being very, in that space where she's can get very agitated. Him playing a more calmer space. Will that work for you? Okay, what do you need in order to feel calm? What do you need to also feel cool? What do you need to feel in also protected, loved, and appreciated? If I'm just going to be like, okay, have your moment, does that work for you? Or do you want me to reassure you verbally? What makes you be able to be okay? And same for him too. What does he require from her in order to feel emotionally safe in these spaces as well? We don't want to just be her. Now, this is just the first episode. I haven't watched episode 2. I'm sure we do. If we do episode 2, we'll go deeper again. But it's a very good first start. Okay, all right. It's a first start. So yeah, they both said they're co-owners. Let's hope that there's nobody lying. Okay, let's hope there's nobody lying. But listen, my time is up. Okay, I appreciate y'all. Stay locked, stay loaded. Okay, we're gonna see you again very soon. Okay, I appreciate you guys. Stay locked, stay loaded, and soon. Much love.